We're very pleased you have joined us for our next live presentation from Generation Hemp. Before I introduce our speaker, a few points to note. Please submit your questions in the questions box to the left of the slides. If you're interested in scheduling a meeting with Generation Hemp, please click on the Meetings tab found on the left navigation bar. You'll be able to view the company's availability and submit a meeting request. On a final note, all of today's presentations will be recorded and available for 24/7 replay. At this point, I'm very pleased to welcome Gary Evans, Chairman and CEO of Generation Hemp, which trades on the OTCQB under the symbol GENH. Welcome, Gary.
Thank you, Phil, and thank everybody for dialing in today for the KCSA Cannabis Investor Conference. Our company is one of the pure play hemp companies in the United States. We're actually one of the largest, if not the largest, processor of hemp. And I'll give you quite a bit of information about not only the hemp business, but our company specifically today. Many companies are now looking for ways to become eco-friendly, and that's no exception. Combination of government intervention as well as just the need to clean up our planet, and that's where hemp really has a huge play in this new age that we're living in today. So our company is really deemed an energy transition company. We're executing on both an aggressive build out and a roll up strategy. The company is anchored as a keystone hub in the fee-based midstream business. In other words, we take wet hemp from the field, we dry it, clean it, and strip it and get it ready for extraction. We also believe that, as I mentioned, we want to be an environmentally friendly business. Sustainable seed all the way to sales is our model. And we have some related verticals, including energy efficient Bitcoin, cryptocurrency mining operations that I'm going to give you some additional information on. This is our disclaimer. This keeps me out of trouble, gives you a little information. I will be giving you some forward-looking statements. So who are we? Our company is one of the few pure play hemp companies, as I mentioned earlier. We were formed through a reverse merger into a public entity in December of 19. And we're focused on hemp hurd and fiber and grain for applications in all forms of industry. This includes biofuels, building materials, and textiles. So it's important for you to know that the CBD products that you hear about all the time come from hemp, but we're also involved in the biomass and hurd side, which is the remaining part of the plant that can be used into all these building materials. So we just recently launched an eco-friendly Bitcoin crypto mining operations that both internationally and in the United States, and we'll talk about that here in a second. So this is a timeline of when we did our reverse merger back in 2019. It was actually in December. So 2021 and 22, this kind of gives you an idea of the transactions we've done and how we're trying to build the enterprise. So let's now talk a little bit about our company and its products. So we are a fee-based business as of today, processing and harvesting hemp for the farmers, as I mentioned. Our facility is located over in Western Kentucky. It's about a 50,000 square foot manufacturing processing facility. We have 4 large dryers in that facility. We also connect the farmers to the buyers. So you got to remember, the farmer has the initial product, we get it ready to be processed, and then there's got to be buyers of the end users of the product. We receive business as far away as Alabama, North Carolina, South Carolina. A lot of our competition went out of business over the last 2 years, so we're one of the only sources of drying, stripping, and cleaning and storing hemp in the U.S. today. Part of our process with this large amount of biomass that we control is coming up with new products. And the Rowdy Rooster Hemp is a product we launched back in September. It's sold on Amazon today, and it is a premium animal bedding product that is biodegradable and it's chemical free. It's obviously pure hemp, and it's one of the first products of its kind in the U.S. It's a healthy animal bedding product for small animals like rabbits, chickens, snakes, rodents, any type of animal like that. is what this is great for, and it can be bought in several different sizes. We also are just launching a brand new product. The license agreements have been completed with Gas Monkey. Many of you have heard of Gas Monkey. It's a television show run by Richard Rawlings, who happens to be a neighbor and friend of mine. And this is a new product that's environmentally sustainable, spill absorbent. So if you're in a if you're in a garage, which he obviously runs, this is much better as a cleanup material than what you've seen. It's over 200% more absorbent with respect to its weight, and it is about 170% better than other products out there on the market today. So we are in the process of getting our bags all manufactured, and this will be launched here in the very near future. It's very safe and obviously eco-friendly as well. And so Bitcoin, how does Bitcoin and hemp fit together? Everybody asks. So we formed a relationship with a company called Crip Solutions out of Massachusetts about 6 months ago. And they're the largest provider of Bitcoin machines here in the United States. They had over 400 million of revenues last year. They're our partner, and we are looking at various projects throughout the United States and one internationally down in Costa Rica, where we could actually burn biomass into a boiler to generate heat and steam that would cause electricity to be made. Biomass plants are all over the United States today. There's almost one in every state, and they typically use wood waste. Well, we can now use an eco-friendly biomass material, which has the same BTU value as wood waste and grows in 90, 120 days versus a tree that grows in 12 to 15 years. So this is one of the areas that we're looking at heavily, and we think that we can be an eco-friendly Bitcoin player also in the hemp business. So these are some of the projects that we have working right now. We've named them based on kind of their locations. You can see up in Arkansas, Mississippi, Florida, here in North Texas, where I live, over in Kentucky, and then the one in Costa Rica I mentioned. So all of these are either behind wind, solar, we'll have biomass, or possibly nuclear, but in hydroelectric. So green energy with respect to not using fossil fuels as a source to generate the electricity for the Bitcoin mining operations. So let's talk a little bit about the hemp biomass that we have procured and processed, excuse me, so you can see our growth. In 2020, you can see we handled about 6 million pounds. In 2021, around 11 million pounds. And that means that we brought that biomass into our facility to get ready for processing. And we just announced actually last night through a Form 8K we filed with the SEC that we began processing 6 million pounds of that 11 million pounds that we brought in last year for a large client, and it will be very advantageous to our company when that's done. It'll take about 90 to 120 days. We have 4 large dryers that will handle this business. So let's talk about hemp with respect to legal, because so many people get marijuana and hemp confused, thinking, well, if you're in the hemp business, you're in the marijuana business. That couldn't be any more not true. When President Trump was in office, he signed the Farm Bill at the end of 2018 that made hemp legally. And it had been illegal, deemed a controlled substance since the 30s. And that was due to the Rockefeller family and the DuPont family. They didn't want hemp to compete with all their other products that they had. So not only has this material, or this plant, I should say, become legal from a federal standpoint, every single state in the United States has approved hemp to be no longer deemed a controllable substance. And so the key is hemp cannot have greater than 0.3% THC. And that's the thing that gets you high when you take a gummy or smoke marijuana. So hemp is really deemed more an industrial product, not a product that you go to parties with. So it's important to understand the difference. They are sister plants, but they are very, very different. So what is hemp grown for? The hurd and the fiber, the flour, which is what we do. We take the flour out of the plant to get it ready for extraction, and the seed and grain. There's lots of studies going on, especially up in Oregon University, testing the grain for cattle feed, which we think is going to be a huge win for our business in the next few years. So these are the industry segments. You can see that you got the farmers. They have to have the seed. You got to have the right genetics, though, in the seed to grow the right plant. We have testing labs in the middle that test to make sure the hemp doesn't have higher than 0.3% THC. You got the extraction labs that make the isolate, the distillate, and that's where your CBD products come from. And then you got the consumer goods. So we're kind of involved in all of this, but we're in the middle. We're the midstream drying, processing, storage company that brings all these parties together. So this is our current play. We are, as I said, one of the few public companies in the hemp space. This is my fourth public company. The other three that I ran were all in the energy sector on the New York Stock Exchange. So this is not new to me, raising capital on Wall Street. I've raised about $7 billion in my career, both as an energy guy and as a board member of a pharmaceutical company. So we know how to raise capital. We know how to grow. We know how to make acquisitions, and we're doing all of that at the same time. And then we're launching these new products, as I mentioned, being gas monkey spill absorbent, as well as the rowdy rooster. So being a pure play company, we think that this makes us quite unique, and it's just not CBD anymore. A lot of people, as I mentioned, think of hemp only as CBD, but there's many, many industrial products coming out of this wonderful material. The long game, we think, is in the fiber herd side of the business, and we're going to give you some data to support that. So this is the hemp acreage by use in 2021. You can see the different areas that farmers were growing hemp for, and fiber, seed, grain, and the cannabinoids. That's the CBD products that we were mentioning earlier. You can, as you know, there's CBD stores in almost every corner of any neighborhood now. So this is annual U.S. hemp derived from CBD retail sales, and you can see continued increase in 20 and 21, a huge jump, and then you can see 2022 estimates and continuing. It's important to note that during the pandemic, CBD sales continued to increase every single month. This is the annual U.S. hemp fiber seed sale growth. So again, we're in a business that's showing substantial growth, compounded annual growth rate of over 18%. And this is the growth potential. What are those different industries that are going to be using this product? Construction materials, automotive, bioplastics. We have consumer textiles, paper and pulp, and many, many other products. And we'll talk about those here in a second. So the industrial applications and mainstream products, here are some of the companies that you know. Levi Strauss, Patagonia. Levi's is making hemp jeans. Patagonia has an entire hemp line. BMW, and now Porsche is using hemp in their car panel doors. It's because it's 10 times stronger than steel, pound for pound, and obviously much, much lighter. All car manufacturers are looking for a lighter product. Construction materials, hempcrete. Just yesterday, the U.S. Builders Association approved hempcrete. It's going through a final approval process, so you'll be able to see hemp insulation. It replaces the fiberglass that we have all been worried about over the years in insulation. And so the supply and demand challenges are continue to be involved in this industry. The farmers need to know that they've got a qualified buyer, and the manufacturers need to know they got a qualified source. So we're, again, the middleman. We're trying to put those buyers and those growers of hemp together. So let's talk just a little bit about our management team. We do have a very diverse group of seasoned professionals. This is some of the pictures of our facility there in Hopkinsville, us actually going out to some of the hemp fields in Kentucky and talking about growing hemp with farmers. This is our team that we've been able to put together. We have two people over in our Fort Worth office, Watt Stevens, Jack Sibley. They came to us with our Halcyon acquisition that we completed um, last year. The guys that run that facility are Mark Thomas and Eric Ramsey over in Hopkinsville. Melissa Pagan is one of our senior executives that lives in Lexington, Kentucky, and then Breda Wilson is our controller, and we have a contract CFO. So we try to keep a lean, mean team, all professionals and all working well together, so we can keep our overhead as low as possible. This is our board of directors. Joe McClarty has been a friend and board member of mine at other companies. He's located over in Santa Fe, New Mexico. He's a trial attorney. Gary Elliston is also a trial attorney here in Dallas. He's a big investor in Generation Hemp. John Harris used to be one of the senior executives of EDS. He's a board member and involved in 3 other public companies. And then we have an advisory director over in London, England, named Rob Sanders, who's been a great assistant for me by bringing ideas of opportunities in our sector. So this is a sort of a summary of a corporate profile. We are traded on the OTC QB. As Phil mentioned, we've had a 52-week, range of 30 cents to $1.32. Market cap, actually, we're up today. It's probably around $65 million. Still don't have a lot of shares trade. Average volume just under 1,800 shares a day. Have about 111 million shares outstanding, but most of that's owned by us. It's by the management team and board members. We do have a calendar year end, and so in summary, we think that having access to the capital markets will definitely assist us. As I said, we're one of the few pure play hemp companies. I think as we continue to build out our Bitcoin operations, that will garner a lot of attention to our company. We have actually formally applied for NASDAQ. We meet all the listing requirements other than one thing, and it's book equity that we're in the process of handling. And we hope to accomplish that before the end of the year. So we think that if you're looking for a company that's intimately involved in the growing market of hemp, we're continuing to see all kinds of businesses call us. We had a call just a couple of weeks ago from a seat belt manufacturer and seat manufacturer for the U.S. government. They make these seats and seat belts for armored vehicles, and the government is asking, hey, we want to see more eco-friendly products in your seat belts. And so hemp is obviously a natural addition. Years ago, hemp was grown for the use of ropes in the 1700s and 1800s and early 1900s. All ropes were made out of hemp until nylon came along. So hemp has a really unique capability of replacing many, many products out there. I can't tell you all the different companies that are looking at this. Obviously, we know textiles works. In fact, the entire Chinese army wears hemp uniforms. And many people don't realize that our first 3 presidents of the United States were hemp farmers. George Washington, if you read his journal, he writes about growing hemp over at Mount Vernon. And so this is a product or a plant that's been around for many, many years, was unfortunately outlawed for most of our adult life, but now it's legal. And so we're seeing all kinds of new ways when companies are looking to be eco-friendly and to be sure that they have got a product that that they can be proud of. They're looking at hemp, and it's easy to grow, can grow in almost any state, and it's actually a tremendous plant for cleaning up soil. Farmers love it because it sucks out all the herbicides and pesticides. It actually pulls CO2 out of the air. In fact, if you plant hemp too close to a freeway, it sucks up the emissions. So it's really an amazing plant. I would implore you to go on the internet, read about hemp and see how hemp is going to change the world. And we're trying to be a big part of that. So we thank you very much for your time today, and I look forward to answering any questions that you might have about our company. We've been actively involved in the media, as you can see here, in a number of different places, and we welcome your interest in Generation Hemp, symbol GENH. Thank you. Okay, I've got my first question here. What are the advantages of hemp as a biomass over other materials? Uh, Great question. We weren't sure about that. In fact, we took samples of biomass and sent them off to labs to be actually, tested. And the beauty is real simple. Wood and hemp have similar BTU values. So when you're burning them, they generate the same kind of heat that was what turns the turbine, which makes the electricity. So the beauty of hemp is it can be grown every 90 to 120 days. We're talking about stalks 10 feet tall. A tree takes 12, 13 to 15 years to mature. So you can see you can grow tremendous amounts of hemp that have similar BTU value as wood at a much, much faster pace. And you're talking about an eco-friendly plant versus one that is not. So we think that that makes hemp very, very unique. My next question is, do hemp growers need to be licensed, and what are the barriers to entry to your business? The answer to your question is yes. Hemp growers do need to be licensed in every state. It's a fairly simple process, though. You go through the Agricultural Commission, like in Kentucky. You would go to the Kentucky Agricultural Commission. You just fill out paperwork, and they make sure you're not someone illegal and doing something wrong, and they do a little background check on you, and you get your license. So it's not a hard process at all. My next question is revenue expectations for 2022 and 2023 and your capital position. Um, our revenues this year should be the largest in our company's history. Of course, we're only 2 or 3 years old, so that doesn't say a whole lot. But I would say you'd see revenues in the 3 to 4 million range, which would easily double or triple in 2023, especially in relation to all our Bitcoin operations that we have going on. So I think that you should see, everybody wants to see revenue increase, which generates EBITDA and net cash flow. And I think that is something that you'll continue to see from us. Next question is many uses of hemp. What applications of hemp will propel your growth for the next few years? I wish I could answer that question because we try to figure that out every day. It really depends on the kind of businesses that want to use hemp in their products. And so I think one of the greatest areas for growth in our sector has to be building materials. We've all seen inflation and what it's done with respect to wood cost and any kind of building material cost, the concrete. So I mentioned hempcrete. There's a company there in Kentucky making hardwood floors out of hemp. So I think undoubtedly building materials is the easiest entry for our business and would be an area that we would continue to focus on. Textiles is also coming, but it's going to take longer because to use the fibers in textiles takes a bigger process. We have to buy additional equipment that would handle those fibers. We're obviously seeing car manufacturers begin to use hemp, and I think that will continue to grow. So let's see if I have any more questions here. I think that's it. So I appreciate your time. Our phone numbers are here and email. So if you need to contact us, feel free at any time to inquire. We have a pretty active website. It has lots of information with respect to obviously this presentation, but a lot of the webcasts I've done over the last couple of years, and some of the companies have written articles on our company. So again, appreciate you being here, and thank you very much.